Now, here we go. Welcome, everybody. We are back for the restorative 606, and today we're going to explore a deep tissue massage. That's what we're going to look at how to get deeper into the layers of the muscles, deeper into the connective tissue in the body, the fascia, deeper into the joints themselves. Yeah. So if we start off the way we normally do, and I'm going to take you through the practice, and I'll just layer in each week. We went through a different aspect. I'll layer them all in, and all the way into getting into that deeper experience in the body. Yeah. So first thing we're going to do is put the feet about 4 to 6 inches apart, and just a small subtle bend in the knee. And we've got that small little subtle bend in the knee. Is again, we're going to begin to just gently sway, and we're swaying around the 4 corners of our feet. And then notice as you begin to sway around the 4 corners of your feet, if there's any little adjustments, anything that you need to do that will allow you to find the 4 corners of your feet with a little bit more ease. So where's that space that grounds your feet? A little softening. And again, we're into the centering, feeling the weight come down through our body, through our feet into the floor, is we're moving in our center of gravity. And then notice the pace you're moving at is like micro movements, like a very fluid but natural pace that you're looking to allow the muscles of your body to tone and then spontaneously release. So a spontaneous tone and then a spontaneous release. And you'll feel it in the arches of the feet. You'll feel them ground a little bit more. You'll feel them draw up a little bit more. As you'll feel the calf muscles tone, you'll feel your thighs, your inner thighs, your hamstrings, your glutes. And again, if you send your tailbone down ever so slightly, just a small, subtle little movement, you should feel your pelvic floor draw up. And you're just swaying around, feeling the trunk of your body work a little bit more. Now, if you bring a tone into your fingers, so your fingers are straight and a little bit apart, is that activates the tone in your arm. So you're going to feel it in your forearm, your upper arm, your shoulder, across the top of your shoulders, across the top of the chest, across the back of the neck, and then breathe. Just begin to breathe. And you just let yourself flow in your breath. So breathe a little into your navel, a little bit into your intercostal muscles in your rib cage, and again, a little bit into your upper chest. There's a little creak on the floor there, so I'm going to move slightly. So that as you breathe, notice the pace that you're swaying at. Notice the pace that you're flowing at in your sway. Is begin to breathe at the same pace. And as you breathe at the same pace, is you find you naturally begin to sync up the pace of your breath and the pace of the tone in your body, your center of gravity. It's like a pendulum. As you sway from foot to foot, as you're inhaling and you're exhaling, and they're both very much like a pendulum. And there's that lovely tone, and then there's the release. So notice as you sway around the tone of your body, after it, you feel another wave of release. As I put my weight more on one foot, when I sway to the other foot, it releases. So as I sway the weight on my right foot, as I sway over to my left, I get this lovely release on my right. And you're just swaying in the tone and the release. And you're just coming into that spontaneous engagement of your body. And then you're doing it all mindfully. So notice that as you move at the pace of your center of gravity, as you breathe at the pace of your center of gravity, it begins to calm the thoughts down, and all your thoughts begin to move at the pace of your breath and the pace of your body. So while you're not controlling your thoughts themselves, what's in the thought or what it thought is you're just controlling the pace. And what you're doing is you're coming a little bit away from the thought, and you're allowing yourself to flow in your senses. So you're watching, you're listening, you're feeling. So you're flowing around the center of gravity of your mind, and you're just allowing yourself to feel that nice sense of spontaneity in your mind. There's a spontaneous sense of awareness. You're flowing in your awareness, and it's spontaneous, that you're able to focus on things. That's the tone. And then you're able to release those things. That's the release. So you're just swaying around the physical, the energetic, and the mental center. And super. It's really nice. Now, if you breathe a little slower, I want you to come into the muscles of your lungs a little bit more. So the muscles of your lungs, the lungs are muscles. Slow your breathing down like you're freewheeling down a hill, and you're loving the momentum of the flow, but you just want to go that little bit slower that you can stay grounded and feel safe in the freedom of the flow at the same time. So now when you slow your breathing down a little bit, it makes you go deeper into the lungs, and then you get to feel the tone of your lungs. Now, while the tone of your hands are mirroring the tone of your feet, have the tone of your muscles of your lungs mirror the muscles of your body, so that you're beginning to breathe and tone at the same rate, in the same way, that the breath and the lungs are meeting the body and the energy of the body. And you're just flowing in a deeper sense of connection within yourself. It draws you deeper into your awareness as well. So you'll start to notice your senses get a little bit more heightened. You feel more, you hear more, you see more, you even smell and you taste more. Your sixth sense is that sense of awareness within yourself, that sense of being. Your sense of being within you heightens. It's really, really nice. And you're just coming into that beautiful connection. So you're swaying in the tone, you're breathing in the tone. Then notice as the tone of your lungs and the tone of your body begin to mirror, the micro movements in your body are felt more strongly. You're moving into the wave effect. And that's what we were doing last week, is touching bliss, is getting into not just the muscles, we were getting into the fascia, the connective tissue, we're getting into the joints, and then all the way into the central nervous system itself. So that when you're moving with that beautiful wave effect in a deeper tone, it's like you're massaging your central nervous system. And it's absolutely gorgeous. So I want you to play around with the bliss and the waves of it, and do it naturally. Look at what I'm doing here. And I'm going to talk you through this, and then we're going to incrementally go deeper into the massaging effect of that deep tissue massage. But let's get into the wave effect for a little bit. So look, I'm still, you can play around with me here, is explore your own experience here. And you don't have to do what I'm doing, but you can mimic it if you want. But look, I'm still swaying around the four corners of my feet. And look how I'm balancing. I'm using my two arms to balance. Now, a fun one to do is, as you sway onto one foot, is if you bring your arm up, you go further. Does that make sense? As you bring your arm up, it brings you further over. So you can play around with it. If you bring one arm up, one arm down, it gives you it allows you to go further around the soles of your feet, but at the same time, you don't lose your center of gravity. Or this here, see this here? All I'm doing is moving in the pendulum of my center of gravity. And a nice simple way to describe it is this muscle will shorten while this muscle lengthens. This muscle shortens while this muscle lengthens. So there's that play always going on in the body. And literally think of it like a seesaw. There's perpetual seesaw in the body, in our center of gravity. And then all the different muscle groups work together. All the different joints work together to engage in that seesaw effect. So look how I'm just spontaneously using my arms just to play around with my natural sense of balance. And really what I'm doing is I'm moving in waves. Is when I get comfortable with it, all I'm doing is moving in waves. And then look at the pace of the wave. I'm moving at a pace where there's the micro movements. I'm moving at a pace that I can breathe into the tone. And those tones give my muscles a little bit of a tone, and then it gives it a release. It's very massaging. Now, if I bring my joints into it, look at this here. I'm just working on my ball and socket joints. And the more I play around with the range of my ball and socket joints, is I'm opening the channels in my body. I'm freeing not just the muscle groups, but the joints. I'm freeing the joints. And then that gets my connective tissue working better, creates a better all-around stability, but also it allows the central nervous system, the channels, to run more freely. So this is where we begin to play with the waves. And again, explore it yourself. Explore it yourself is play around with it. I'm imagining now you're in a room on your own, at home or wherever you are. But the fact is you're most likely on your own, or you're with people that you're comfortable with. So let a little bit of your inhibitions go. Is do movements that you've never done before. Is have your body move in a space that it's never made that movement before. Think about it. You move, you do something, you do a position that your body has never been in before. That's your body in a new space. Now imagine just moving spontaneously in your body, in your natural center of gravity, and you're just exploring all these different movements that you've never been in before. Huge energetic release. And the reason being, as you open up space, energy flows in. And as you engage with that space in the seesaw of it, is you get this beautiful release in it, where you release yourself into it and energy rises. It's very energizing for the body to feel new space. Now, one of the things you're going to come across is tightness. Oh, there's a bit of tightness there. Okay, so now there's tightness in the body. There's two basic ways that happens. One is the tightness of the muscles and the joints being bracing or compressing, and they get restricted. The other tightness is a lack. It's a lack of tone, like in my trunk. Is that if I didn't have engaged trunk, is when I engage with it, is I don't feel much in it. There's not much awareness in it. There's not much energy in it. I'm not so aware, so I don't have a huge amount of control in it. So that when I go into it, it's a little bit like molasses. Is everything has to, for me to feel it, I have to really slow down and really let myself feel what's going on in that part of my body, and allow my center of gravity and my tone to just be in it at the level that I can actually stay connected. And I'm building up my awareness and energy. So you want to become aware of it and then build energy before you build tone. Okay, so now watch this. Is let yourself still sway around the four corners of your feet, but now do it more from the ball and socket joint. Do it more from the ball and socket joint. Give your arms a little bit of a rest. Do it more from the ball and socket joint. And just feel yourself rolling around the ball, rolling around in the socket and giving it a nice massage. Now breathe a little slower and breathe a little deeper. A little slower, a little deeper. And notice how you can use your breath and the tone of your lungs to meet the tone of your body. You find yourself maybe flowing a little slower, but going a little deeper into the joint, where you're spending an extra moment or two just applying a little bit more pressure. That feels like nice. It's like a massage. You're just massaging the ball and socket joints. Super nice. Super, super nice. It's really good for you too. Just getting into it. We're going to explore that now, that we want to bring that connection that releases the energy, that opens up space, that gives us that lovely bliss feeling. That's like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. But now we want to start going a little bit deeper into a deep tissue massage and diving into that space, diving into the tones and the releases. And another one to do, which is great fun, is you see the feet, is I want you to sway to one foot, and then as you sway to the other, push. So I'm swaying on my right, and as you're swaying over to the left, push off the right. And as you sway from the left, push off the left over to the right. What it looks like you're floating a little bit in your body, and you're resisting the ground, and it gets you into that root and rise sensation. Is you get this lovely sense of rooting down and rising up, rooting down and rising up. I'm still swaying around the four corners of my feet, and look, I'm spontaneously allowing my body to balance itself all the time, but I'm just in that rooting and rising. And again, it gives a really nice tone to the thighs. If I want to start doing posture, look, I'll be doing the same thing, but I'm still in it in the chair pose, rooting and rising. I'm rooting and rising. I could do a little bounce here, and I'm in the energetics of it, and it feels absolutely gorgeous, getting into like a deep tissue massage. So, playing around. It's probably going to get a little bit intense as you go further into it. I'm just sort of working you into it a little bit. And I want you to explore your body and be a little bit more open to moving into spaces in your body that you might not have done before, which means basically different movements. So look at this one here. I'm closing my fist a little bit, and then all I'm doing is moving my fist and my elbow back and forward. But look as I'm in my sway, look how I'm using my arms as a counterbalance. So as I sway to one side, look, as I go over, now I'm bringing an arm back. So I'm actually using the arm as a counterbalance. I'm using the arm as a counterbalance. It's actually quite a bit of fun. Okay. But now if I start to sway the hips a little bit more with it, is I start to use my legs a little bit more. I'm starting to use my shoulders a little bit more. I'm just getting into that spontaneous engagement. And again, I'm actually in the root and rise. I'm in the root and rise, and I'm in the flow. I'm in the waves of things. And if I straighten out my fingers and I do this, look, I'm just back in the waves. I'm in the seesaw of my center of gravity. I'm naturally in the seesaw of it. It's super duper. And that's part of what I want you to get into as you get into the waves and the energetics and the bliss, is there's a natural seesaw effect, and you're just engaging with that. It's a beautiful way to be in your body as you go about your day. There's always a pendulum effect. So anything you do in your day, there's a natural pendulum effect that you're doing. If you're bending down, if you're picking up, there's a natural pendulum effect. As you're leaning over there, there's a natural pendulum effect. It's actually a really nice way to move about your body. And it's good fun. Okay, but the tones, the deep tissue, let's go a little bit deeper. I'm going to get you to ever so gently bounce, a little bounce on the knee. Okay, now you bounce on the knee. It's a little bit of vigor in it, so it's not this mechanical. This is just mechanical. It's not that. If you think about the knee joint, you've got a lot of fascia, connective tissue, ligaments holding the knee joint in place, and I want you to basically spring up and down in it. It has a certain amount of tone, but also has a certain amount of release in it. And what you're doing is you're just gently bouncing in it. So there's not compression. It's not aggression at all. It's actually a bit of vigor. It's a bit of vigor. It's like a subtle bounce. At the same time, notice what it's doing for your feet. Notice how your feet are getting more rooted into the ground, more tone in your arches, more tone in your calves and your thighs, your hamstrings, your inner thighs, glutes. And send the tailbone down slightly, and there's your pelvic floor. So what I want you to do now is bounce in your pelvic floor. You're bouncing in your pelvic floor. So as you bounce through your knees, you've got your feet planted, but also your pelvic floor is planted, your hips are planted. So now you're bouncing through your spine. I'm trying to exaggerate it so you see it now. So you may notice that I'm trying to show you, I'm bouncing through my spine. I'm actually bouncing through the top of my head. So the top of my head is floating up and down at the same time. Okay? And that creates a continual tone. The rooting down, the rising up, I'm in both constantly. And they're meeting each other. And it's very energetic, but notice the tone is increasing. The tone in your legs is increasing. You're getting deeper into the layers of the muscles, getting deeper into your fascia, the connective tissue, getting deeper into the joints, beginning to get into more and more of the energy of the central nervous system. You're just playing around with it. It's very invigorating. Okay, so now I'm going to show you another one. I'm going to show you how to work your upper body to activate your pelvic floor. So let me just talk you through it. I'm going to get you to interlock your fingers and straighten out your arms. Now, when you straighten out your arms, put a bit of rigidness in your elbows, and now you've got to keep it there. Keep that little bit of rigidness and roll your shoulders back and keep that rigidness in your elbows. Don't let the elbows go out because you lose your line of force. So rigidness in the elbows, roll the shoulders back. And as you do, keeping the shoulders rolled back, rigidness in the elbows, pushing the hands a little forward, lengthen the back of your neck while drawing your breastbone down, as opposed to propping your chest and sticking bunching your shoulders, sticking the chin out. Okay, we prop is lengthen the back of the neck, draw your breastbone down, roll the shoulders back, and then a little bounce in your arms. So that you're toning your arms and shoulders. You're still swaying around the four corners a little bit. Don't need to bounce in the knee, but sway around, keeping your center of gravity. Feel the tone in your shoulders, the neck long, breastbone down. Feel your upper back tone. Feel your core tone. You feel the trunk of your body toning. You can feel the upper abdominals engage. If you don't feel the upper abdominals engage, slightly draw the breastbone down until you feel them. And just by doing the bounce in the arm, is notice how they're getting a little firmer. You're going deeper into the tones in your body. That's what we're getting into today. Get into those tones and then we're going to release them. But now we're going to work the pelvic floor. So it's very simply, you're still bouncing, little bounce in the arms, but as you float the arms up a little bit, don't go fast, little by little, keeping the neck long and the breastbone down. At some point, as you do that, is you're going to feel your pelvic floor draw up. Now once you find that spot where it starts to draw your pelvic floor up, leave your arms there and just continue to bounce. And just feel the tone in your pelvic floor. Simply by how you're working your arms, your lines of force, your arms into your upper back, into your core, and then all the way down to the base of the pelvis. That it gets a little tighter, a little bit more toned. And then you're swaying around your center of gravity. Notice how those arms are working, those shoulders are working. Notice how the body's working. Getting a bit of heat today. Okay, super duper. And then from there, let's put the arms back down. Now again, a little soft knee, come back into your sway. Just center yourself in your sway again. Now what I want you to do is ever so gently spread out your fingers. Just a little bit, straighten your fingers, a little bit apart, feel the tone in your hand. And let that tone in your hands gradually and incrementally go up your arms. But at the same time, feel the weight of your arms because of the tone and release. So you get this lovely weight in the arms, drawing the weight across the top of your shoulders. So the hands are slightly active, you're keeping the tone in the arm, but you're letting the weight of the arm separate the shoulders away from the ears. And breathe a little deeper into the sides of your rib cage, a little deeper into your upper chest, and breathe nice and slow and deep. As you reach the peak of your inhale, just feel that space across the shoulders open. Feel that neck get a little bit more released and let yourself sway from the ball and socket joint and the base of the neck. So now rather than swaying from the ball and socket joint and the hip, I want you to sway from the ball and socket joint and the base of the neck. And just feel that space open so that when you exhale, again, all in your own time, when you exhale, it stays open. It's just releasing. You get these lovely flows of energy up and down the neck, between the shoulder blades, across the top of the shoulders, even down the armpit, through the arm. It's gorgeous. Make them feel your intercostal muscles. Breathe slow and deep and just feel that release. So that this going into this deep tissue massage is the deeper the tones as we hold them and then release into them, is we get a greater sense of release. The energetics is much more, it gets stronger. So that you can go from bliss to a little bit of euphoria as you go along. You get these natural highs that you can go on. Yeah. So just feel that lovely openness between your neck and shoulders and the lightness that comes through it. You might even feel your head get a little light. So again, you're going into a lightness in your body, a spaciousness in your mind. It's just be careful that you don't go into spaced out, which is different. Stay spacious. Stay present. Now we're going to play around with it a little bit more. So what I want you to do is separate your feet wider than your hips. Wider than your hips. And turn your feet out gently a 45 degree or so. Don't go too far. If you feel unstable, you've gone too far. Too far in and you won't get that openness in the hips. So about there, about 45 degrees. And then your feet are about the width of your hips or so. You're going to have to play around with it as we go along. If you have a long body or long legs, you're probably going to have to send your feet wider. So different body shapes, different things. You've got to feel it out, but that's the basic starting point. All right. Now what I want you to do is put your hands like this, whatever this is. And what I mean by that, active hands. And what I want you to do is just do this. Your forearms are generally level with the floor. Okay, so the active hands is going to keep your arms active. It's going to keep your shoulders active. And look at this here. Now what I'm doing is I'm moving my hands to move my hips. Because I'm moving the weight of my arms, it's gently creating a shift the weight of my body. So I'm shifting the weight of my body, and let yourself sway around the four corners of your feet. Let yourself still sway around the four corners of your feet. Okay, and then notice as you're swaying around the four corners of your feet, where do your hands naturally go? You're keeping the hands active, but there's not a rigidness. There's a tone in the arm, but notice how the arms and the shoulders and the rib cage and the head are all connected to the spine and the core, all connected to your center of gravity. So that you're just shifting your weight around the four corners of your feet and that all of your body's connected into it. And then notice as you do this is that you're working your let's go down to the feet, is feel the tone in your feet more. Feel the arches working a little bit more. Feel the ankles working a bit more. You can feel the Achilles at the back. It's being lengthened a little bit more. See, in your shift, the Achilles are working a bit more. The knee joint has to work a little bit more for stability. You're lengthening out your calf a little bit more. You're lengthening out the thigh, you're shortening the hamstring. And again, you're lengthening and shortening the inner thighs. Now stabilize the pelvis so that you can still feel your pelvic floor. Now again, if I turn my palms down, I was doing this here. If I turn my palms down, notice when you turn your palms down, it gives you a greater sense of down, groundedness. Look at this here. I'm just doing simple movements. And really what we're working on here as well is the ball and socket joints. Is you're flowing more deeply you're opening the joints, and now you're still rolling the ball around the sockets. Separate your feet up maybe a little bit more. And you can just literally sway like a pendulum. You can sway like a pendulum, going from hip to hip. And again, you're just feeling that extra tone in the hip socket. And you're using your arms for balance. And notice how your legs, your thighs are getting stronger as they're going deeper in. Look at this now, look at this one here. This is going to take you deeper into your thighs. And I want you to just keep feeling the tone increase, but also I want you to feel the release. The tone and then the release. The tone and then the release. You let yourself be in both. And don't let the tone go too far that you can't release. And just let yourself sway. And again, look, we're just in that pendulum effect in our bodies again. We're still in it. We're still in it. And it's really, really nice. Okay, look at this here. I'm doing this with my hands. I'm just in that pendulum effect. I'm mindful not to give you too many directions today in the sense of do this and do that, because I want you to explore the free flow. I want you to explore the free flow in your body. But notice how I keep telling you, keep your hands active, keep your feet active, keep your hips engaged, keep them neutral, keeping the rib cage neutral, keeping the head neutral. And then in that, notice how it just keeps you in your center of gravity. So you're working the general tones of the body. Look, now I want you to start to straighten the legs a little bit more. So maybe separate your feet a little bit more so that as you sway, that you can actually straighten out a leg. Really draw up through that tone. Now, draw up to that tone. So you're really shortening your thigh while you're lengthening your hamstring, and you're switching from side to side. But do it, look at this, do it like a pendulum. And notice how I use my upper body to stabilize myself. And it lets me tone the leg more with better stability. Or if I disengage my body, it's really hard to do the same thing. I go like I'm already collapsing. Right here, I'm engaged in it. So look how it brings in natural rotations. I'm naturally rotating my rib cage. I'm naturally rotating my spine. I'm just having a bit of fun. I want you to just explore it. Okay, now from here is let's bend both knees a little bit more. What I want you to do is bring your hands into prayer position. Now press your hands together as if your hands are resisting into the floor. Bring your elbows shoulder level, so your forearms are level with each other. Press the hands together. Use that to roll the shoulders back and away from the ears. Is let the neck go long. Draw the base of the neck goes up, breastbone comes down. Feel the upper back tone. And I just want you to start to gently bounce and let yourself sit a little deeper into your hips and just feel those hips open. And again, you can shimmy from side to side if you want. A little bit of rocking from side to side. You're really going to feel this in the thighs. Thighs are going to work. Some people might be really feeling it in the calves. Look, it's this gentle tone, 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 tone. But the bounce in it keeps the release, 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 release. Look, sway, 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 release, release, release. So you're not just constantly in the tone, you're also allowing yourself to stay in the release of it. And there's the waves. It's just the waves are going deeper, really working those legs. Now here's this wave. We're going up and down. Hips come up, swaying forward and down. I'm basically making a circle with my hips. Bring them down, back, up, forward, down, back, up, forward. And you can, again, it's going to work the thighs. It'll be pretty intense. And from here, feet back in. Now a little soft knee. Let your hands just be down by the side of your body, tone in your hands. Now back into just a gentle sway. Now when you come into a gentle sway this time, is just allow yourself to just be easy in it, breathe in it. And what I want you to do is let the tone of your legs just be there. Don't control it. Just let it be there. Focus on the release in it. Same with your pelvic floor. You'll notice that there's a natural, stronger draw up through your pelvic floor. You feel a greater tone in your trunk and breathing into your rib cage and upper chest. Just a greater tone all the way through your body. And I want you to now just sway in that tone and come into the release of it. And then breathe the release. So no different than feeling the tone and release in your muscles. I want you to begin to feel the tone in the muscles of your lungs and then also feel the release in your lungs. And I want you to let yourself sway around the release of the tone in your lungs. Just brings you into that beautiful energetics. And if your eyes are not already closed, let them close for a sec. Let yourself be in the sway, the pendulum effect of it. Remember to keep the hands just a little bit engaged and turn them out ever so slightly. And then ever so gently, just let your hands just come actively into your sway. So you can gently adjust the position of your arm. The weight of your arm is just encouraging the pendulum in your body to just sway a little bit more. And breathe. And you're just allowing the tone of your muscles to just release, release, release. But you're still deep in the connection of the muscles of your legs. And you're releasing into it. Okay, now from here, let your eyes open. Let's come on down to the ground. Okay. And we're in table position. So hands to width of the shoulders, knees, the width of the hips. And again, just a gentle sway. And you're rolling around the four corners. And again, bringing in your breath, keeping the shoulders away from the ears so your hands are resisting into the floor so you feel the lift up through your arms. Rotate your elbows, the soft part of your elbow out just a little bit. Take the shoulders away from the ears. The neck is long, breastbone and groin just a little bit towards each other. Keeping the tailbone, sending it that way slightly. Feel your pelvic floor. And then just meeting the tones in your breath and then meeting the releases. And breathe a little slower, a little deeper. And I want you to let yourself just sway. Send the hips a little wider. Go a little slower. Let yourself feel the tone. And go deeper into the release. And you really get the massage out the ball and socket joint. And you're also beginning to massage out the glutes. You get to massage out your backside a little bit. There's a bit of tightness, a bit of tenderness. Is again, go slow, go steady. You're just doing the micro movements. And then let's go to the opposite direction. And it's always interesting how you're doing the same movement, but it's the opposite direction, but it always feels a little different. Okay, from there, we're going to do a little bit more work where we're going to do the pigeon. And we're going to do the full pigeon. I'll show you. You bring your right knee up beside your right hand on the inside. Lean on your right hand and take your right foot over and put your right heel by your left hip. So you're on you're on the right side of you're on the right shin. Okay. Now, if you bring your hands underneath your shoulders on the tips of the fingers, that extra height allows you to be high in your hips. And then your left leg is straight. So you're high in your hips. And what I want you to do is tuck your pelvis. And again, sometimes we collapse into the pelvis and the glute on the right side gets very, very tender very fast. So keep the hips high, a little tuck in the pelvis. And when you feel the tuck in the pelvis, you're going to feel your pelvic floor, you're going to feel your core. Okay, now you're actively controlling your right glute. So you're taking control of it, you're toning it. And what I want you to do is keep the pelvis slightly tucked, so the tailbone is going slightly down. As you slide your left leg back, you're sitting straight back and down. So don't worry about how low you go. I want you to keep tucking the pelvis, and you're going to feel your right glute get nice and toned. Okay, so we're working on the glute. Now from there, what I want you to do is take the weight through your fingers more, roll the shoulders back, neck long, draw the breastbone down, so there's your core. Press your left foot into the mat. And again, you're sending the tailbone down, you're sitting in and you're really working on that right glute. Think about tone. I really want you to feel the tone, the right glute, the right side of your backside is getting nice and toned. Give it a nice little bit of a squeeze. And then I want you to do this. See this here? And literally what I'm doing, I'm exaggerating so you can see it, I'm gently bouncing up and down. I'm gently bouncing up and down. Now I'm bouncing up and down in my massage my glute. I'm gently bouncing up and down on my right hip socket. My hip socket is open. I'm getting a nice deep massage into my hip socket on my right side. And just gently bouncing up and down, it should actually feel quite nice. Because remember, it's not a mechanical thing, it's more about the energetics. It's working the ligaments and fascia of the body, it's working the muscles. So it's quite relaxing. And notice how deep you're beginning to feel the right hip socket and also your right glute. You're going to get a lot of engagement in it. Get right into it. It's gorgeous. It's a very different way to approach pigeon. A lot of times we'd be pushing ourselves and collapsing. We're here, we're holding it open, we're gently bouncing in it. Getting into the energetics, feel the tone, breathe into it. And again, we're in the root and the rise. We're in the energetics of the root and the rise. And it's just releasing all the time. So even though the glute is toning, the hip is really open, you really get a deep openness in it. If you still feel the release, and focus on the release. It's just a big release. It's really nice. And from there, the hands come flat, curl the toes of your left foot. That allows you to take your right foot back, your left knee up beside your left hand, lean slightly to the left, slide your left heel over to your right hip, so you're on the shin of the left leg, and again, come high on the fingers. Now when you come high on the fingers, you're high on the hip. Your hip is actually high, so you're not collapsing into it, you're high up. Now when you're high up, what I want you to do is tuck your pelvis, tailbone down, little tuck. There's your pelvic floor, there's your core. I'm leaning into my hands on the tips of the fingers, so I roll the shoulders back. There's my upper back is engaged, my neck is long, breastbone down, so there's all working. I'm going to press my right foot into the floor. Now, as I do, I'm tucking my pelvis, I slide my right leg back, and I'm sitting back and down, as if I'm sitting into a chair. I'm sitting back and down. And in that little tuck, I'm now really toning my left glute, but that little tuck is also opening up my left hip. So nice openness in the left hip, lovely tone in the left glute. Okay, and then a little bounce. And you're bouncing from the hip socket, and you're bouncing through the tone in your glute. And it's very subtle. Remember, it's more about the energetics. It's not really a mechanical thing. You're not really moving any parts, so to speak. You're just gently bouncing up and down. You're engaging with the root and rise of the earth. You're resisting into the earth, and then it's giving you that natural lift. Remember, gravity always drawn us down towards the earth, but there's a more subtle force that then comes back up through. So while we rest down through the bones, is we lift up through the muscles. So the rooting down gives us stability, the lifting up gives us mobility, and between both, that opens us up for flexibility. So this subtle bouncing that you're doing here actually opens up your hip, opens up the hip socket. It allows you to tone the muscle, but at the same time, you're releasing into the muscle. You're softening into your natural strength. You're softening into your true integrity. And the body's staying open. And it's nice. As much as it can be intense, it's actually really nice. Wait, you see when we come out of it. Okay. Now you might find if you're not used to being on your fingers get a little bit tired. That's okay. Not doing any harm. Now from here, look, hands are going to go flat. Curl the toes of your right foot, so the knee comes up. Look, left leg can come back. Now from here, back into table position. Okay. And again, press through the hands, press through the feet a little bit, lift up through the arms, roll the shoulders back, lengthen the back of the neck, breastbone and groin a little bit together, send the tailbone down. So find that general tone in your body. Now notice how you feel when you sway around the ball and socket joint in the shoulders and the hips again. Do you notice how much freer your hips feel? That there's more space in them. Do you notice how your glutes are and the pelvis, that it's moving more freely? There's this greater sense of spaciousness. There's a greater give. There's a release in it. And I just want you to flow in that release. Just a couple of rounds on one side and then just switch direction, just so you get to feel it. You might even notice you can feel your inner thighs more, that they're a little bit more engaged than they were. Okay, and from here is we're going to work. I think we do this again. You're sitting in Thunderbolt. So you're in Thunderbolt. So your knees are 3-4 inches apart. Your toes are going straight back. So it's a nice There's a nice openness on the front of your ankle. It's a little bit of a stretch in the shin, yeah. So now from here, put your hands on your thighs. And what I want you to do is push the front of your feet and your shin into the mat a little bit. Just a little bit. Excuse me. Now you can feel that lift. You feel that lift up through your pelvic floor. If you're not sure, rotate your thighs out, push through the feet, rotate the thighs out a little bit with your pelvis level. You should feel your pelvic floor draw up. I want you to bounce in it. I want you to gently bounce. And again, that subtle little bounce, it's just a little bounce. It really gives a nice pressure to the ankle joint, to the knee joint, to the hip sockets, and you're bouncing through your pelvic floor. It's quite toning, it's quite nice, it's energetic. And it has its own intensity. There's a sense of tone. Now, while you're in the bounce, there's also a sense of release. So you're letting yourself, you get a lovely lengthening of your thighs. You get a lovely squeeze, lovely tone, like a hug in your hamstrings and your calves. And your little bounce up in and out of that is quite releasing. It's quite nice. But again, it's strong. Like, I'm not saying it's not intense, but it's releasing at the same time. Now ease off in the bounce, but continue to push through your feet a little bit so that you feel the draw up. Interlock your fingers. Straighten out your arms. A little bit of rigidness in the arms, but you're going to roll your shoulders back, keeping the neck long and breastbone down. So there's your core. Little bounce in the arms. There's your upper back working more. As the arms float up, breastbone stays down. There's your core working more. Arms, shoulders, back, core, pelvic floor. Have it all working. And just by simply bouncing your arms, keep the shoulders away from the ears. And breathe. And just going into that extra sense, that extra depth of tone. We're diving deeper into the tones in the body. Just breathing into it. And then release. Okay, so now that was a little warm up because we're going to do downward dog. But again, it's like pigeon. We're not going to do the whole pigeon. We're not going to do the whole downward dog. I'm just going to get you to work, get you to ground your shoulders, shoulder blade to the rib cage, collarbone to the rib cage, ball and socket joint, your arm to your rib cage to your spine, and really feel the strength in your upper back and get a lovely engagement in your core. So really what we're doing is we're going deep into the tone of the upper body and at the same time exploring the release in it. Okay, so you're in table position. And from there, it's just curl your toes, take your knees off the floor. Now, look at get the big toe and all the way across to the little toe on the floor and the ball of the foot. But I want you to keep your heels high and your knees a little bent. So no pushing the heels back and down. That's not our focus. So heels stay high, so the arches of the feet are active. Your inner arch, the arch across from the big toe to the little toe, and the outer arch from the little toe to the outside of the heel, they're all working. Okay, and now focus on your hands and fully get your hands engaged into the floor. So the length of the fingers to the knuckles of the fingers to the palm of the hand, same with the thumb, all the way through. Everything that can be in the floor, have it in the floor. Then let the weight come onto your open shoulders. Now, if you're not sure, bunch your shoulders up to your ears, then let your shoulders come away from your ears. And just let the neck go long, but hold the head level. So don't let the head hang. You're lengthening your neck. And really feel the shoulder blades connect into the back of the rib cage. So shoulders to the ears, away from the ears, bunch up a little bit, and then release. Feel the shoulder blades come into the back of the rib cage. When you feel that connection, you can adjust your feet a little bit if you want. And then what I want you to do is I want you to gently bounce in your knees. I'm slipping on this mat. It's a new mat. So gently bounce in your knees and keep your hands planted. Keep that little bit of rigidness in the elbow so that the arms are nice and strong. The soft part of the elbows rotating out slightly. Shoulders away from the ears, neck long, breastbone down. I want you to feel the tone of open shoulders. So remember, open shoulders, open joints, and really feeling the tone connect into your upper back. And it's the bounce in the knee that really stabilizes the whole thing, stabilizes the strength of your upper back. Then draw your breastbone slightly towards your navel, so keeping the core working as well. Simply by the bounce, you should feel the trunk of your body tone a little bit. And just letting the weight come down onto your open shoulders and just feeling that whole upper body tone. And remember, we're going into big tones and then releases. So it's the subtle bounce that allows you to keep that root and rise. It's that you're still in that ground of root and rise. Now I'm bending my elbows here, so I'm exaggerating that resistance in the air. So think about it, even though it's a hard floor, you're bouncing on it like there's a bit of sponginess, there's a bit of give in it. And that give is the give in your body. And that give is that natural vitality, that natural bounce, vigor of the muscle, of the joint, the ligaments, the fascia, your connective tissue. Even your central nervous system understands that connection. It's pressure and then it's release. And you're just gently bouncing in it. Okay, then down we come. Let's give those arms a little bit of a rest, but let's lie all the way onto our belly. Okay, so if you put your hands down and your feet out straight, put your hands down by the side of your body where your fingers are pointing backwards, palms down. Now leave your elbows where they are, but bend at the elbow joint until your hands are pointing forward. But the elbows stay where they are. Slide your hands back until your forearm is a little bit like a pillar, but maybe a 70-degree angle, 80-degree angle, as opposed to that's 90. So that when you press your hands into the floor, your elbows naturally draw in, you can roll your shoulder blades. When you press your hands into the floor, you feel your upper back tighten. Now when you feel your upper back tighten, again, keep the neck long and draw the breastbone down. So you're just toning your upper back. And again, look, the chest comes up a little bit. And you're just pressing the hands in. And you're firmly pressing your shoulder blades into the back of the rib cage. So when your hands press into the floor, remember root and rise, when you press your hands into the floor, your shoulder blades press firmly into the back of the rib cage. And you get that lovely tone in your back. So all the muscles of your upper back are toning. So across the top of the shoulders, between the shoulder blades, there's all that lovely tone. And then I want you to just gently bounce in, constantly resisting with your hands and just gently bouncing. It's a gentle little bounce. And then breathe deep into your rib cage and upper chest. Breathe deep into your rib cage and upper chest. So you get this lovely toning in the arms, this lovely opening of the joints, but it's strong. You're strengthening your joints. You're building strength. You can feel yourself deeper in the joints. The joint in your wrist, but it's stable. The joint at your elbow, but it's stable. The joint in the ball and socket, but it's stable. Shoulder blades are connected. Your neck is long, breastbone down. Your spine is open. Your rib cage is open. Everything's open, but it's strong. It's intense. And then you're gently bouncing it to release. The gentle bounce is the release. It keeps you releasing. Keeps you in it, but it keeps you releasing in it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you may be asking at this point, Roy, I thought this is restorative. Where is my euphoria? Where is my bliss? It's coming. Okay. So from here, now I want you to just let the body come down, turn the head to one side, hands down by the side of the body. So palms turned upwards, elbows resting out. Now put your big toes touching and let your heels rest out. Now, how nice is that? How nice is that? Now, what I want you to do is belly breathe. I want you to belly breathe. And as you breathe your abdominal wall into the floor, I want you to feel you're massaging your abdominal wall. Notice the openness in your obliques at the side of your body. Notice how your lower back muscles open from the inside out. And again, they're lengthening and they're opening. As you exhale, they're contracting and they're shortening. Now explore your breath. When you breathe into your navel, it naturally lifts the back of the pelvis and ascends the tailbone down. You get this lengthening in your spine. So you get this lovely release in your lower spine. the space between your vertebrae open, and you get a flood of energy from your central nervous system. Absolutely gorgeous. Now we worked on the upper body there. So now go deeper into your rib cage. Breathe into the sides of your rib cage. Breathe into the back of your rib cage, follow it around, and breathe between your shoulder blades and your shoulders. Breathe to the base of your neck, the base of your skull, the top of your skull, down across the top of the shoulders and down your arms. How nice is that? Isn't that a release? Isn't that beautiful? Now I need you to move in the waves and use your breath to find those waves. Move with the tone of your lungs. Have the muscles of your lungs meet the tone of your body. Have them connect through the breath and through the energetics of the body, and then breathe those beautiful waves. And notice the heaviness in your legs. After all that deep toning and releasing, notice the release in your hips. Gorgeous. Notice the release in your lower spine. Lovely. Notice the big release in your rib cage and your upper back. That big release across your neck and shoulders. All that tension is just melting away. A lovely release down your arms. Beautiful flowing energy up through your back of your neck into your skull. You may notice that lots of energy flowing into your skull itself, all the way to the top of your skull. Gorgeous. Runs of energy all over the body. And then breathe those releases, all those vertebrae opening up and energy just freeing itself through the central nervous system. Now breathe those beautiful waves. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's bliss. If you breathe to the peaks, as you inhale, slow it down, come to the beautiful peak, your own time. And as you come to that beautiful peak, I want you to surf the wave. So stay in the pause at the peak of the inhale for as long as you're comfortable, and notice how your body just sends massive amount of energy through your central nervous system. Because remember, when you open up space, energy flows in. Look at all this beautiful new spaces we moved into today, and then we went deeper into them, into the body. So think about all those micro movements, all those micro spaces, and now energy is just flooding in. It's a rush. It's a little euphoric. Woohoo! Surf those waves. More than blissful. It's euphoric. Now on the exhale, again, it's a big wave. Take that wave and micro movements and go deep into the body. Deep into the muscles. Deep into your connective tissue, deep into your joints, deep into your central nervous system, deep into your mind, deep into your awareness. And at the end of your exhale, come to that moment of pause and just find the depth of stillness. Absolutely gorgeous. Blissful, euphoric, and staying there for as long as you're comfortable. And notice that the energy just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. And that's because of the amount of space you've opened up within yourself. And then your awareness, like it's surfing those waves. Sometimes you can feel like you're surfing those waves. Surfing those waves of energy, surfing those waves of consciousness. Absolutely beautiful. And just explore it. Notice the seesaw effect, like we were doing earlier on. That seesaw effect of your center of gravity. Now you're just in the seesaw effect of your spine. That when you inhale, your spine floats away from the floor and it elongates. It's like there's two magnets on either end of your spine and they're gently drawing your vertebrae away from each other. But it feels so right because the energy channel that it opens going, this is what my spine is meant to be like. This is what it feels like when it's open and free. Even on the exhale, those two magnets are gently drawing the vertebrae away from each other, but the spine moves closer to the floor. You're in that root and rise through your breath. You're in the wave motion of your spine and the beautiful elongation of it. You're activating your fifth line of force. Your two legs, we worked on to the hips, the two arms, we worked on the shoulders into the upper back. So I've got two arms, two legs, Shoulders are working for you, head's working for you, your legs and hips are working for you. They're all working for your spine. So when you're breathing now, you're just breathing that fifth line of force and just feel that beautiful release and then that lovely seesaw effect. Absolutely gorgeous. So now, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to ask you a question before we go to the next thing. I'm going to ask you a question. So you're still lying in your belly breathing. Is as strong as you felt what you're feeling now. Is often there are times when I've asked people about their pain threshold, and everybody, I'm on teacher training, and I'll ask a room full of people, who knows their pain tolerance? Everybody puts their hand up. Yeah, I know my pain tolerance. But then I go, who knows their pleasure tolerance? Is less than half the people put their hands up. They normally do it with a smile. So, but less than half the people aren't aware that they have a limit to their pleasure, that they only allow themselves to feel so good. So now I'm going to ask you, do you know your pleasure tolerance? Do you know how good you can allow yourself to feel? And then I'm going to ask you, could you allow yourself to feel better? Could you let yourself feel more energy, and that it's so uplifting that you let yourself feel higher and greater in energy or joy than you might normally? Would you be willing to do that? I'm going to take that as a yes. So what I want you to do with the minimum amount of disturbance, I want you to roll over onto your back. And as you roll over onto your back, let your feet rest out, but hip width apart, hands down to the side of your body, palms turned upwards. Just do a quick stand, just to make sure you're comfortable. And I want you to lie still. And as you lie still, I want you to continue to breathe as if you're still lying on your belly. So you're breathing that deeper breath. And openness within yourself. And at the peak of your inhale, I want you to just stay at the pause at the peak of your inhale for as long as you can, comfortably. And I want you to feel that energy flow in and how light it feels and how open it feels. And you're just opening up spaces within yourself, physically, energetically, and mentally, where the space is upwards. And you're allowing energy to fill that space. And it gives you a greater sense of uplifting sensation, a general sense of joy. It just feels really, really nice. And the question I have for you is, how good can you allow yourself to feel? Go into the bliss. Go in and have a little bit of euphoria. Euphoria is just let yourself go into it. Don't be afraid of it. Just let yourself release into that joy, just for a couple of moments. You'll even get on the exhale, nice and slow. Feel that effortlessness. An effortlessness that is just sublime, amazing. It's hard to put words in that at times. And it's a flowing effortlessness into a lovely spaciousness. And at the end of your exhale, you come to this beautiful, effortless completion. So that wonderful pause at the end of your exhale, you come into a stillness within yourself where you go, this is what stillness is like. This is what it is. This is amazing. This is just complete and absolute release, but in oneself. And being in the stillness of oneself, in the being of oneself. And stay there for as long as you're comfortable in that wonderful stillness. And it has its own properties of bliss, but then it also has its own properties of euphoria. That there's an overflowing of the stillness within you. I know that might sound a little odd, but it can feel like that. The stillness, you just keep going deeper into it and you're overflowing in it. You have more and more and more of it. It's like the energy of stillness is flowing into your space. Or it's like you are pouring yourself into stillness itself. More and more and more of you. It's absolutely gorgeous. At some point you want to inhale. Let yourself go into that. Release yourself into the expansion. Release yourself into the openness. Release yourself into the momentum of it. And that lovely lifting sensation. You know all that bouncing the root and rise? It's lifting. It's letting yourself be lifted, allowing yourself to feel uplifted, and that you're doing it yourself. So you reach the peak of your inhale, you're so open in that uplifting sensation that you just feel uplifted, lighter, that you come into the lightness of your being, that this beautiful being within you is so light that there's an effortlessness in the lightness of it. Absolutely euphoric. Beautiful. Just allowing yourself to explore new peaks, going deeper into yourself to open up new peaks, higher states of consciousness, higher energy levels, going into those peaks and then learning how to engage in them in the everyday of your body, in the being of your body, in the breathing of your body, in the touch and the connection of your body, just flowing naturally in your center of gravity. That you bring it all the way down to just a very, very fundamentally engaging experience. Is the intimacy of being in your body itself. And as you go about your day in the doing. It's gorgeous. Keep breathing. Keep breathing those waves. Keep allowing yourself to sway in the waves and surfing those waves. So this amazing effortlessness on the way down, all the way to a stillness. This wonderful lightness and spaciousness on the way up, that you come to this beautiful lightness itself. And that you have both at the same time. You're effortlessly in the lightness, and that you are lightly in the effortlessness. That you are the stillness and the lightness at the same time. And that wonderful space in between is the spaciousness. And that spaciousness is the spaciousness of your being. There aren't two in that. There's only one. You are being in the one space in yourself. You are being in yourself, in fully absorbed into it. Like a meditation is absorbing into, just feeling that lovely oneness, that oneness of being, and just allowing yourself to just flow freely and spontaneously from your center that is in that oneness of being, fluidly in your center of gravity, in those beautiful micro movements, just breathing the channels, breathing the space itself, doing it with full awareness, and you're just touching the bliss of it, and you're going deeper into the tones of it, and you're just finding those moments of euphoria, and it's all very natural, it's all very easy. It's just a wonderful ease in it, as you can go to the point of this is effortless, and just let yourself rest into the stillness of it, into the lightness of it, into the spaciousness of it. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I want you to continue on. Stay relaxing. You can come out of when you're ready. So stay relaxing. If you want to stay there for another 30 seconds or 30 minutes, is go for it. This is the end of this 6-week session. This is the beginners. And when I come around again to do an intermediate session, I'll pick it up here. And what we'll do is we'll start moving into different positions in the body, different tones of the body. We start activating the chakras a little bit more. But right now, the beginner's course is just setting up the space. It's just opening up and exploring the different depths and engagement that a restorative practice can do. And there's just a whole world of engagement at a restorative level. So you'll see that come up sometime, the intermediate. There's other courses to be done first. So I'll see you here next week for the next course. And thank you very much. Thank you for being here.